mentioned lavender there. Just get you to smell that briefly. Not too close, but can you smell that one?
That's wonderful.
Yeah. You do that. And you have all the three together. You get a really lovely aroma to that. And lavender. And then just ylang ylang. And then we'll just stir that. Right, hello Melissa.
Hi.
My name's Fern, and thank you for taking time out to come and spend some relaxing time with me today. What I'd like to do is just ask you a few questions so that I can really determine which oils might be best to use for the aromatherapy back massage that we've got planned. Have you been having holistic treatments at all?
Yeah, I've had a few, yeah. I really like them.
You really like them, okay. Has anybody explained to you a little bit about oils and what they can do?
I've heard a few words here and there. I know I like lavender for one.
Right. Okay,
yeah,
that's good. I've got
yeah.
lavender for you, yeah.
Good. I have heard kind of about these base notes and top notes, but
okay.
I don't really understand which is which
Oh,
or
right.
why.
I'll touch on that for you in a bit.
Yeah.
But how are you feeling at the moment?
Yeah.
Is there anything particular that is worrying you or is obvious in your health at the moment?
I think tiredness. I'm quite sleepy. Just feel like it doesn't even necessarily feel sleep related, just a general
weariness, maybe.
Yeah, a bit worn
okay,
out.
yeah, you've got a lot on at the moment.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of stress elements coming in there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, aromatherapy oils are really, really helpful in that respect. And I'm glad you said about the base, middle, and top, because what you need when you have a think about oils is to think about a balanced approach. And rather than just use one oil, a mixture is much better because it can give you a much more therapeutic approach to really help with some of those stressful issues, just to help you relax a bit more. And it's much better to have a combination of them, but clearly you need to know and understand a little bit about oils, so which is why it's better to go to an aromatherapist who understands how to blend oils in particular. The alternative to that is to use a pre-prepared one that you can buy, but obviously they don't have the essential properties. They're quite diluted. So what I thought I'd do is show you some of the oils. I don't know if you've seen these ones before. They come in dark bottles, really to keep them longer and to keep them away from light and heat, which can destroy the properties of the oils. And I've got a sample of a top, middle and bottom here, which are lovely aromas. So what I thought I'd do is just, you mentioned lavender there, just get you to smell that briefly. Not too close, but can you smell that one?
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So in terms of, you mentioned stress and trying to relax a bit. So there's another couple here. One is a base note and one is a top note. I've got my chart here, and it tells me, because this is quite a while since I've looked at these, because obviously I'm trying to get back into holistic therapies, and I do still need to refer back to this. I spent ages, I remember doing this little project trying to work out what was top, middle and base. It was all very interesting. So we know lavender is the middle note, and that's useful for obviously calming. It's very much used in lots of things. It's quite regularly available. So that one you're probably a little bit familiar with.
Yeah.
But some that you are not potentially familiar with. There's one here called bergamot, which is really, really useful for things like negativity, because obviously sometimes when you're stressed, negativity creeps in and you want to really damp down on that. You don't want that. You want the thoughts replaced with positivity. So bergamot is really nice for things like that. Oh, brand new bottle here. So you can smell that.
Oh.
That's really nice.
Mm.
So that's a top note. What we call a top note. That's nice. And then I've got one here just to demonstrate what a base note is as well. And base notes are ones that linger a lot more. It's like rose is another one that is that as well, a really good base note. So ylang ylang, very, very good for stress relief. So if you smell that, it's very different smell.
Oh, it's really, really
very different
unique.
smell. It is quite different. It's one of my favourites.
I can't really explain how it smells.
It's quite uplifting, considering it's a base note. It lingers as well. And then, obviously, what you want to do, just going to put the tops in the right place so I don't mix them up. You do that, and you have all the three together. You get a really lovely aroma to that.
And that is lovely. It's got that mixture of it. It is calm and relaxing, but you're right, there's that uplifting.
Yeah, there's an uplifting,
well.
and I think that's the ylang ylang, just giving that uplifting bit at the end.
Yeah.
And those three, I think, are really, really nice, a good mixture, because this is your first time. They're probably the most useful ones.
Okay.
And then if you come back again, we can try some of the other oils and try a different blend, particularly if hopefully by then you've learnt to relax a little bit more, you've had your massage, and then next time we can maybe look at something that's a bit more uplifting even, or focused on other things. But for sort of stress and removing some of that negativity, I think those three are probably really good choices.
Yeah, I guess for everyone, not just me, but depending on the day, your concerns and mood are all very different. So
they would absolutely change. And I spent ages researching all of these different oils and what they are suitable for.
Yeah.
So you can see from here, there's lots of different things that different oils are suitable for. So for example, here you've got muscular aches and pains, which ylang ylang is not suitable for. Okay, so but you would choose something else, like vetiver or frankincense.
Frankincense.
So yes, or frankincense, yeah. And then if you were, for example, suffering from PMT, you ironically, one of the oils that is really helpful for PMT is called Melissa.
I love that.
So good. Maybe that's one that we need to try at some point.
I definitely do. Which note is Melissa then?
Melissa is a middle note.
Okay. I'm a middle note.
You're a middle note, yeah, Melissa. But we'd have to look at something either side of that to help you as well.
Okay.
So a good base note, for example, with that would be something like sandalwood, which is very nice. That's a base note. It's got quite an earthy tone to it, which is really a good note to have. And then you've got all these other areas. These are the main ones that people often come with, and these are the main ones, obviously, that you do learn when you study aromatherapy, because they're the most common things. Obviously, there are lots of things outside of this as well, but then you would have to go and make sure absolutely that you were using the right oils. If there was something that was not on this list, then a good aromatherapist would go and study and research that and make sure that you were choosing oils that were appropriate for what the condition was. And obviously being very careful. There are some things that are not appropriate to use, say when you're pregnant, because some oils can be quite toxic in their toxicity. So you have to be a little bit careful depending on that.
Fascinating.
It is. It took me a long time putting that together.
Yeah.
It took me a long time.
Yeah. I guess it's something you don't really usually see as someone getting the massage.
No. It's the background to it all, and that's what makes aromatherapy just that little bit special. And a little bit more relevant to the particular individual, because a standard massage is a standard massage, but when you're adding in something that is designed to therapeutically help somebody, it makes it different and more holistic and healing.
Yeah, I suppose. So if you, some people will go to massages and it's like a pre-prepared blend. That still works, but it's not. It still works. As honed
I suppose it's not narrowed down to the individual needs of that particular individual with the particular health issue that they've got. It's just a generic blend to relax people.
Yeah, and I guess those usually have lavender.
Yes, there'll be a lot with lavender.
Oh, wow, I'm excited. This looks wonderful. And
Okay. Do you feel ready for the massage now?
Yeah, I'm already getting a bit sleepy.
Okay.
The whole vibe.
I think it is the whole vibe, and probably smelling the lavender.
When you did the thing and the blended through them, it's just lovely.
Yeah.
So sorry, I've stolen your little thing.
Okay, yes. It's my Bible.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay. Right, what I need you to do now is get ready for the massage and lie face down on the couch, and then we'll put a towel and a nice blanket over you, and obviously I'll be focusing the massage on your back. What I've got to do now is go away and blend the oils. One of the things that you need to do with an oil is obviously you can't put an oil directly onto the skin. It needs to be blended with something called a carrier oil. And today I've got some lovely wheat germ oil, which blends very well with some of these oils. So I just need to get the proportions right so that we've got enough for a good back massage that will hopefully be quite relaxing and de-stressing for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. Right, so now we've done the consultation, while you're just getting ready to lie down on the couch, I'm going to blend the oils as I explained. We've decided on a top, middle and base note. So I'm going to use my wonderful spinning tool here, slightly adapted tool from the kitchen, but it works perfectly with oils. The one thing to remember with the oils is they do tend to leak onto everywhere. So having something like this is fantastic. And actually, if you put it on a spinny wheel, it means you've got access to lots of the oils quite easily. And I tend to place my top, middle and base notes on these little porcelain containers. And then in the middle here, I've got a tiny little jug with measuring points on, which are very helpful for when you're trying to measure out the carrier oil that you've chosen. And we've chosen, in this instance, wheat germ oil as the carrier oil today. And in terms of the measurements, I've had to, as I explained, I haven't done this for quite some time. I'm just getting back into this. So what I've had to do is go back to my old textbook to have a look at the measurements. So I'm taking the guidance from the textbook. So the first thing we need to do with the oils is pop in 10 millilitres of oil. That's slightly more. and this is sufficient for a back massage. And for 10 millilitres of oil there, we only need to put in 5 drops. That's because it doesn't exactly attune, so you can't make it odds and evens just so that it's easier. It just needs to be measured accurately. So you have to almost use your judgment. So we decided on our 3 oils. So our bergamot, which is our top note, our lavender, which is our middle note, and ylang ylang, which is our base note. And the advice is to do a 2, 2 and a 1 drops. So what I will do is I've decided that ylang ylang, because ylang ylang is quite strong, is that will be my 1 drop, and then the other 2 will be 2 drops. So very carefully, what I have to do is open each bottle. So this is the bergamot going in. So that's 2 drops there of that. And then lavender. And then just ylang ylang. So we'll put these 3 back in here because these are the 3 that we've used. And then we'll just stir that. Okay, so that's the blend now mixed. I'm just going to smell the blend to make sure that it smells okay. And that's lovely. Nice relaxing blend. You can really smell the lavender in there as well, but the ylang ylang, although we've only put 1 drop in, you can still smell that. But that's a well balanced blend of, you've got 2 drops, 2 drops and 1 drop, which for a 10 milliliter is absolutely spot on in terms of the blend. And you've got wheat germ, which is known for its vitamins and minerals. So perfect carrier oil for those strong aromatherapy oils. And this is why it's so important that somebody knows what they're doing, because you could put loads and loads of drops in and not really realise how toxic the aromatherapy oils could be, and that could actually burn your skin, particularly if you're experimenting on younger people or older people, because their skin is quite fragile. So you do have to be very cautious when you're working with these oils. But that's a really good blend, and should really help in terms of the therapeutic aspects of the massage.